stay jiggy, but on the just need you to tell me we're alright, tell me we're okay. Panic on the brain, Michael's gone insane. Julie starts to make me nervous. I don't really care what they would say. I'm asking you to stay. My bunker underneath the surface. Wondering, would you be my little quarantine? Or is this the way it ends? 'Cause I told you my level of concern, but you walk by like you. Hello and good evening. Welcome to GRL Round 4. We are in rainy Great Britain. The weather not being any of a letdown. Definitely classic British summer weather at the moment. And as we prepare to... oh, I've got no audio. Oh, I do. Sweet. My apologies. Might want to change the stream name. What's it currently set to? Could have sworn I changed it. Yeah, my sincerest apologies. Not sure how that's happened. I could have sworn I started the stream with the correct name. But we will rectify that lickety-split. It is GRL Round 4 Silverstone. As we are in rainy Great Britain for the qualifying, unsure of what the weather report is saying. We've got a few drivers going for an outlap as we start off the session. We've got Jeremy out in the Mercedes. We've got Krimnyat out in the Alpine. Both Alpines out. One might be having technical difficulties as he's opted to take up the gravel there. And we'll put lap data on. We'll keep telemetry during the qualifying detail. Everybody's going to be on intermediates. And track map, we will set that to full. Now, I've got a personal friend in the race in the McLaren is Peak XJW. I'll refer to him as Peak going forward. Currently on an outlap. I do believe he's a bit quicker than me as we've got a new follow coming through. The Triangulum Lemon, thank you very much for the follow, as well as Crinmalt. And Reese Boy, thank you very much for the follows. As we'll keep an eye out as to who will be doing their first attempt at a hot lap. I believe the Mercedes was going to be the first, so we'll go on board with him as he makes his first hot lap attempt. I'll take a quick look at Discord. I believe I'm going to have a co-commentator. I'm quite stoked about that. That would be pretty good to have co-commentary. As Jeremy is starting off his, well, kind of halfway through his first attempt. Coming up to Cop's Corner now. Triangular Lemon, your mic is muted on Discord, and you may want to mute your mic in-game, as I believe that's coming through.
Yes, would be an idea. I'm just getting Discord open on my computer now, but I'll go and mute myself on the game.
So Jeremy is looking good, exiting Maggots and Beckett's there. Coming up to the final few turns, locks up a little bit. And I believe he will be the first to set a lap time as he's nearing the 1 minute 30 mark now. Imagine not having throttle issues. Wow. Ooh, almost loses the back end. Sets down the gauntlet for the remainder of the drivers to try and attempt to beat, as Golden Wolf saying that's not a problem, coming in 4/10 quicker in the Alpine. And Peak coming in even quicker, 8/10 ahead of Golden Wolf. A friend of mine once told me that rain is the great leveler of drivers, as Stray Dog invalidating his lap. Rich in the kick salva, setting at 136.7. And next driver to start a lap, I believe, would be... Let's just keep an eye on. We'll take a look at who's starting a lap, who's not, as we try and get into the momentum and the swing of things. We'll go on board with Fanta in the V-Carb. And if there are any... There's definitely a visual issue. I'm seeing that now. My sincerest apologies. I'm trying a new overlay, specifically for GRL, and opted to do it last minute, so there. Now that that has been rectified, we can carry on with all eyes on Fanta with his hot lap. He's looking a little bit slidey in Sector 2 here. Has set a purple sector. Is he going to run into traffic in these final few corners? Hopefully not. His lap is looking pretty rapid, keeping it on track, making the most of the traction. F1 December in the chat saying hello. Good evening, brother. How are you doing? And obviously got a bit of a yellow sector. A few drivers slowing down to let the quicker drivers through. A little bit messy on the final turn, but is enough to put him on pole. 3/10 quicker than Reese Boy. The top three looking pretty close together. Tulo will be the one to watch if he keeps it clean, says F1 December 29. Where is Tulo? F1 December, I am doing comms on a different league this evening. So is Tulo in D5 or is he D4? Because I usually do D4, and tonight I've been assigned D5. With me in the commentary booth this evening, I have got Lemon.
Yes, hello. Sorry about all the technical issues, but I'm here now.
F1 December saying his name is, I'm going to refer to him as Art F1 in the Haas. Currently sits P7. Just shy of 9/10 behind the current pole sitter of Fanta in the V-Carb. So, Lemon, have you got a bit of experience with the GRL Racing League?
I raced in the first ever season of GRL. Been gone for a while, but I'm happy to be back. In Div 5, though, at the minute. As we're looking through the track now, I don't know many of these drivers, but they seem to be quick. We'll see how it goes tonight.
I've got very little experience. Obviously, I've only done a few races in Division 4 where I've got a personal friend. And in Division 5, I've also got a personal friend, Peak, in the McLaren. I'm hoping for him to do well this evening.
We shall see. You see, Mercedes goes on top there, F1 Brewster.
That is just a hair quicker than the Alpine of Kryn. Those first few drivers looking quite tight together. Hopefully that'll make for an interesting race. Obviously Sparky not quite having the pace to do a whole lot as he sits a colossal nearly 6 seconds behind the most recent pole sitter of Reese in the Ferrari, setting a 135.3.
Ferraris have been a good partnership so far this season. As we can see, they're on the top at the moment in this division. Currently sitting in the driver standings pretty close together as well. They're quite a tight partnership. Could be a bit of teammate complications, bit of teammate rivalry going on there.
I'm hoping to see racing, but I'm also a fan of, you know, when the teams work together, sort of do the DRS swap thing to get away from the other drivers. I'm a big fan of seeing that happen.
Hardly see it in the F1 leagues, at least in my experience, but Would be lovely to see these two guys work together to get the best result for the team.
That would be ideal, but as you said, I've also very, very rarely seen teamwork like that. In these leagues, it's sort of everybody looks out for number one.
Of course, it's almost like it's a solo championship, but don't worry, guys. There is a team standings championship, both overall and in your own division. You can work towards that as well.
I'm sure your team principal would definitely appreciate that.
You definitely would.
So we've got a few things happening in the chat. Kryn saying P2 with throttle issues is mad. No longer P2. You've got a little bit of work cut out for you. You need to make up 7/10 to make it back to P1, or a minimum of 3/10 to make it back to your previous P2. F1 December saying, I might be back in this division next season. I tried to do it with Giles in Brazil, but he told me to just run away and secure the win. Obviously referring to the previous comments on teamwork.
Team orders.
Obviously Giles is now the team principal for the Kick Sauber. And good job, it just turned dry. Ooh, can we see a few cars coming out on slicks?
Some changes to be occurring here. Racing out on top at the moment though, 4/10 clear. So I'd say he'd be kind of happy if it was staying wet, but unfortunately for him now, that time's going to get beaten fairly quickly.
Yeah, obviously if it does dry out, the current lap set will be pretty much irrelevant, as most drivers will make it quicker than their current attempts. Sparky did improve slightly, he's setting a 1:39.6. 3 drivers yet to set a time. Do you know if we've got any quali bans today?
I'm unaware of it. I don't believe so. I saw no update on it. So I believe we don't have any quali bans for this exact session, but 3 drivers not setting a time is interesting. Of course, the Red Bull just got here, but... Oh! A grid penalty for Kryn.
Oh my goodness. Not what you want to see after he was bragging about getting P2 with throttle issues. That's going to put a dampener on his day. Oof. That's the thing, you got to be so careful in quali. Things can go sideways so quickly. As
I saw there it was due to a collision. I'm not sure who he exactly collided with.
I believe it was Art F1 in the Haas.
Art F1.
Currently sits P12 with a 1:37.005, but we'll go on board with Peak, who's currently halfway through his hot lap. On the soft tires, he's looking pretty good. Might be struggling for traction a little bit coming out of Maggots and Beckett's. Has set a purple sector too though, so this looks promising. Question is, will the track be dry enough for everybody to make a good attempt? But I believe Peak is going to be the first to set a lap time as he comes in with a 1:33.7, 2 seconds quicker than Reese.
This is a real testing time now. With the slightly slippery conditions, we will be seeing drivers on those softs struggling possibly a little bit. As we see, there's a spin there for Woody, but he'd already set his lap, so it doesn't really matter that much. He held it together well, keeps the car out of the wall, and can maybe set another lap with the time closing down.
And obviously Gentje, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, but he has set a 1:34.2 in the Williams. We've got a little bit more happening in the chat. I don't know how that happened. I'm sure Quali says Reese, currently sits P3. And Kryn saying, fuck, the Haas spun out in front. Clip him, got a pen. Very unfortunate, that 5-place grid penalty for Kryn. Brian Core stepping it up with a 1:32.9, 8/10 quicker. Fanta saying that's nowhere near quick enough, coming a full second quicker than Brian Core with a 1:31.8. You know, I do think that Silverstone is a favorite for most drivers. It's a fairly straightforward track to learn, but to learn all the intricacies in the best lines takes time. So I hope we see a very competitive race. Possibly some longer DRS trains going, with not a lot of gaps. Always makes for exciting racing. So, the Red Bull currently on an outlap. The only driver to not have set a time yet, but he is on the soft tires. Everybody now swapping for the soft tires. Fanta is obviously current pole setter. Sits a 2nd and a 10th quicker than Brian Core in the Kick Sauber.
A lot of time still to go on those softs, though. We still see Reese, who was their fastest on the Inters, is still 5th with that time.
We do see he's currently on an outlap. He'll be looking to try and move a little bit further up. That is Rich sets a 1:31.3, half a second quicker than Fanta. Those Kick Saubers looking to put themselves nicely on the grid there. First and
The
third.
later the better when it comes with these times. The later the better. As soon as you can get the track more dry, it's just going to be time after time, up and up and up.
I imagine once the time comes down a little bit, we'll see the remainder of the drivers go out for an attempt. At the moment, the track looking very busy. Lots of traffic to contend with. As D&B Super Skills, coming in 2/10 quicker than Rich, puts himself on pole in the V-Carb. V-Carb and Sauber domination. Good bore fans at this point.
Who knows? Who knows? Let's have a quick little checkup on how those two teams are doing in the championship this year. So within the team standings, Sauber are currently 2nd and RB are currently 3rd. So Red Bull really need to put it together now within these, as I say as they go, Paul, to keep their lead in this championship.
And the second Red Bull driver now on his hot lap appears to have invalidated. Might be trying to take a cooldown lap and have a second attempt. As El Calico coming in ahead of the Williams of Genji, but only by 9/10, which is not a small margin by any means.
No, not small at all. He is currently leading the championship as well in Div 5, as well as Red Bull leading it in the team constructors. Won the last race, his first win of the season in Belgium. Really hoping to capitalize on that good form and keep it going.
As we see the Williams making a move for the front of the grid with Wow and Genji. And now Stray Dog Racing putting McLaren in the running. I'm very keen to see what the second Red Bull does. Obviously, his teammate won't be too happy if he's got to do all the carrying through the race. Like Max Verstappen and Leon Lawson.
Strangely identical at the moment.
We briefly had a Red Bull sandwich on the grid. Golden Wolf putting a stop to that, coming in 4/10 quicker than El Calico. Or Coquelicot. Why has everybody got such hard names?
We have now Reese, our the leader in the Inters, completing his lap on the softs, coming to the end of that sector. Can he continue on that fortune? And as we see a crash from the Sauber, we're just bigging them up, and
he does. He puts it on pole. A mere 10th ahead of the Alpine of Golden Wolf. And we've got a Kick Sauber who has retired by the looks of it.
Can't quite see what has happened to him, but evidently a crash. As the Haas.
Yeah, F1 December did say that the Art F1 in the Haas would be a driver to keep an eye out on.
5/10 in the lead at the minute. Definitely someone to look at.
I have noticed, I've not been doing league racing very long, but quali pace does not always translate to race pace.
No, not in the slightest. Have to keep it consistent, and that's very hard to do.
My goodness, how are these drivers just going so much quicker than one another? Obviously, we were impressed with the Red Bull coming in 9/10 quicker than the previous pole sitter. Now, a full 2nd and 4/10 quicker coming in Civet, who's now retired. Obviously not going to be able to get another attempt in, so I believe there'll be a few drivers making a last-ditch effort.
Yes, I think we're still seeing some intertimes on this grid, which is honestly shocking. I actually think we're seeing some sorry for the language, we're seeing some racing on the quali laps. If you look at RJ in the Aston Martin, I believe we're seeing racing at quali.
RJ in P19 currently. Hanging on to that slipstream of, I believe, Brewster.
See a spin for that as the Alpine. One set a better time.
So the I'm not entirely sure of the league rules when it comes to drafting and slipstream, but could potentially see something happen to RJ for using the slipstream of the Mercedes as Fanta puts it back on pole for the second time. Peak coming in with a P2.
Brewster now takes the top, and it looks he's got pole. Brewster has... Oh, unless Stray Dog... No, Stray Dog has not been able to make it. Brewster takes pole for the British Grand Prix.
So I believe this will be your standings for the grid as we round out the last of the quali sessions. Obviously, Ackflasher unable to set a time at all. So it'll be interesting to see what he does in the race.
Yes, to answer the previous question about the slipstream, I don't believe that was intentional. When I switched over to that viewpoint, it looked like they were side by side. That's probably why RJ ended up coming into 11th with that late time and drier track. I think there was some racing going on, and I don't know whether I just joined at the most perfect time or whether that was going on, but Brewster still managed to pull a lap together through all of that. So, like, top respect to him. That was honestly incredible if they were racing to still manage to get pole from that at his home Grand Prix.
It's definitely looking like it's going to be an interesting one. The times are fairly tight up at the front in half a second. And it looks like the middle of the pack is going to be the one to watch for the exciting things. Those all within a tenth of each other. There's going to be a little group forming. It looks to be about 4 or 5 drivers within a tenth of each other.
It'll be interesting nonetheless. I think as well that difference in track conditions when each driver went out meant people might be a bit lower than they expected. People might be a bit higher than expected. This could be a very entertaining race.
It all depends on the weather. Do we have a weather report? Do you know?
It looks cloudy but dry to me for the moment. Nothing said yet.
Kryn and Reese, if you guys are in the chat, do you have a weather report just to keep us updated here in the commentary booth? Obviously, we don't have the luxury. Reese says it's looking dry for the entire race. Dry all race, says Kryn. F1 December says, call me Indian Goat. He still owes me a top 10 finish in Div 4 as he promised me the last time I streamed on there. Cloudy at the end, so there's a very, very minuscule chance of rain towards the end. Doubt that it'll happen. So we will most likely just see dry, clean racing.
I'm going to call you back for a commentator's curse when we get through turn 1, but let's hope for some clean racing.
All right, do we have any predictions on the amount of safety cars we'll see today? I'm going to say 2. 2 safety cars seems like a safe bet.
I'll take the over on that. I'll go for a 3, although it is kind of hard to bring out a safety car with the lack of walls available at Silverstone. We'll go for 1. You know what? We'll be nice. I've never seen any of these guys race. I don't know if they're clean or they're not clean. I'm hoping they're clean if I ever end up driving here. But we'll see throughout the race. I'll go for 1, though, to be nice to my fellow racers.
And this is where the commentary booth curse comes in, and there won't be any safety cars.
I think every driver, and probably us, will be happy if that is the case.
Well, personally, I'm a fan of when there's a safety car because you get gaps that form in the field, and it makes the racing tighter and more exciting the more safety cars there are.
It definitely could do. We'll see now if there's any carnage. Don't know exactly when this is starting. We'll get a little time check now if there's one posted. At 32, so we have 2 minutes to go now until the race starts. And then we are lights out.
So hopefully next week I'll be fully into the swing of things. Obviously today I was trying to put through the overlay for the GRL, which I've been putting off for a little bit. So hopefully next week I will have it all sorted. I'll have the standings ready to go at a moment's notice to talk about between quali and the main race. That being constructors in the division, as well as overall constructors and drivers' standings.
Yes, I have them up here if ever anything interesting happens in regards to championship contention. But I will say the top 3 currently within Division 5 is Litim, which I believe is the Red Bull who came in 7th. Has a different name in regards to the actual account, but is listed as Lithium here. Brian Core in the Sauber is in second. Seems to be doing very well. It's a 12-point gap to the top, so really could use a good race here to try and breach that gap. But I'm not quite sure where Brian Core ended up finishing. I'm sure we'll see that as we go in. And then third would be Super Skills in the RB, with fourth being the guy in last. So really has to make up some ground.
Yeah, I think the Red Bull who was unable to set a lap was just really unfortunate with track limits in his qualifying runs.
Yes, and of course wasn't able to join on time due to Xbox issues. Never able to set even a Inter's lap, unfortunately, but that's how it happens sometimes. Into the constructor standings, we have Red Bull on top by, I believe, quite a large margin, by 29 at the minute. Sauber in second and Racing Bulls in third. Very similar to the
And
driver
lights
standings.
out, and away we kind of go. A few drivers not quite ready for it, getting left behind on the grid. As we've got Brewster making a bit of a runaway. As he's...
Yes, I think they're okay, though.
It's the formation lap, because I'm an idiot.
No one heard that. No one heard that.
I always forget that GRL does a formation lap. The other league that I do commentary in does not do one.
No, they didn't for a while, but they brought it back in. Apparently the issue was fixed, so...
Now, there was a bit of talk about the ghosting. Has that made a return?
I believe so. I'll quickly confirm for you, but I believe it has. If I quickly go to announcements here. Or when I say quickly, I mean it takes me an hour. One moment. Oh, Lord. Okay. Too many channels on the blooming server. There we go.
So we do have
yes,
a few...
Yes, they have reactivated. They have reactivated.
That's probably the right move. I think a lot of the times it can really ruin a driver's race if a car spins and goes across the track. There's not quite enough time to sort of compensate for the accident coming across the track. You don't have enough space to brake. We do have a few different strategies with Sparky and the Raikkonen, the only drivers to opt for the hards to start. And the remainder of the grid split pretty evenly between softs and mediums. Was today one of the wildcard races?
I think that's next week. They have no hards. Oh, it's in 2 weeks' time because, of course, we have a week break into next week. But after that, I believe we have a no hard session in China. And for now, it's just regular old, clean, regular racing.
So as we form up the grid,
a couple drivers didn't make it to their box. Of course, 3 and 4 a bit further back.
Yeah, 3, 4, 7, 16, 19, and 20 unable to find the box. Title of your sex tape. Hopefully, no chaos into turn 1 as we've got 4 lights, 5 lights, and we are off as the V-Carb of Fanta appears to get a slightly better launch than Brewster. Coming into turn 1 now. All the action. A little bit of position changing happening there with the McLaren of Stray Dog Racing defending beautifully.
A lot of changes at the start, but no crashes, fortunately. Everyone made it through very quickly. We see the V-Carb of DMB Super Snipes. Of course, I talked about him being very high up in the championship. Made it up by 3 positions into P6 from P9.
You know, you do love to see it, ambitious drivers get the aggressive start, and he's gone off track a little bit. We'll be getting a warning for that. As Jeremy sneaks by, tries to go on the outside. Does he have the legs to make it? He does, gets away cleanly from DNB Super Skills.
I believe Skills was hit in the back by the Red Bull of Reese, and Reese, as I think has end plate damage as he goes wide there. Looks to be missing that right end plate.
Oh, you are
Might struggle
absolutely
through the
right.
lap.
Is it going to be enough damage to really impact him to need to possibly pit to get that repaired? As we got a yellow flag. We had the Williams of Wow and Belge go off the track, unfortunately, as he slots in just ahead of RTF1 in the Haas, who's fallen way back.
Maybe got caught up in that spin between the Williams and just couldn't get himself out of the way. But of course, with that ghosting, no real excuse.
He has managed to take end plate damage by the looks of it as he's diving into the pits now. And
Oh!
2 drivers out.
See if we can get that real quick.
Virtual safety car.
It was an absolute, looks like a wreckage on the final corner. Don't know if you were able to catch that properly there, but the car's in decimate on that final corner.
I unfortunately missed it.
I'm sure we'll see. Actually, it's been cleared now, but the cars have been absolutely shunted into one another. Not sure who's at fault there, but we will leave the stewards to it.
I mean, would we count this as one of the safety cars?
Oh, no, I'm going to lose then. But I feel like it does, you know? It has to.
I mean,
VSC, though,
we didn't even make it a full lap.
No, not quite. We had 3 cars in the pits, though. They would have loved if it was a full course safety car. As I'm seeing the safety car there on the track.
Oh.
But it says VSC.
No. It's definitely on the track there, just between sector 1 and 2 by the looks of it.
Very interesting. We'll wonder, this might have to be a restart. I don't quite know the issues in this game or the issues that EA have made for us. But if this becomes a problem, there may end up being a restart.
I mean, lap 2 safety car is not really what you expect.
Not quite. We do see, is that Brewster coming into the pits?
Quite a few drivers coming. That's got to be a full safety car then if people are... Oh, as Peak picks up a 10-second penalty. Speeding in the pit lane. Obviously, Silverstone does have a lower limiter than most other tracks. Is everybody diving into the pits?
Yes, we'll see now. Is the safety car going to pick? Is the safety car going to pick Fanta up, or is Fanta going to drive right past? The safety car has picked Fanta up, so no issues.
Full
Seems
safety
like we're all
car.
good to go.
Still unsure if we'll be needing to see a restart. Hopefully not. Obviously unfortunate for Raikkonen and Civic, the losers on that crash on the final turn of lap 1. Everybody else will be ecstatic about that. Those with wing damage able to get that repaired and have a fresh set of hard tires. There's some language being exchanged in the Division 5 chat currently.
Oh, let me get involved. I love the drama.
Raikkonen not happy, so I suspect Civic may have been the one at fault.
It did look like Civic was the one behind. It's hard to be at fault when you're in front unless you just completely shut the door.
Hang on, it was not Civic. As Raikkonen has said, not you, lad. Civic says he spun. Nothing you could do as you were hit as I spun, just the sacrifice. Most drivers...
Maybe ghosting not working, it seems. Maybe ghosting isn't on and I'm chatting out of my hell. Or maybe the Raikkonen was just very unlucky. Seems to have happened a lot to him this season. He's really high up in quali, and from what I've been told, he's got very good quali pace, but hasn't quite been able to keep that high position in the championship. Only sitting in, I believe that is 8th.
Kryn in the Twitch chat says ghosting seems to be bugged. Apparently that might have happened. Ghosting is on, but it's not ghosting. And Indian Goat says, welcome to Division 5, Scones. You're going to get a safety car every race.
Happy to be here.
Just here for the view and the vibes, really.
Of course.
You know something I would love to see in F125 for spectator views, to be able to set up camera angles before the race. So you can swap between them.
Give us more opportunity. Exactly,
because it's hard to sort of stay with a certain corner when you're focused on one driver, and it looks weird to go down the grid as they make the corner.
Absolutely. A couple of our big winners now from this initial starting period. We have Rich in the Kick Sauber up 11 places. Sparky in the Haas up by 10. Brewster, of course, did choose to pit from P1 and is back down to P10 now. I believe Woody did the same, and although he has a 10-second penalty, he's also down in 11th and 7 positions below where he started. But obviously, of course, our two biggest losers of this first stint is Raikkonen and Civic, who have ended their session.
Unfortunately, Art F1 lost 10 places, Brewster 9, and Peak lost 7, also gained that 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So, oof. Very eventful first few laps, other than the safety car laps being a little bit boring, of course.
Yes, but all the cars are bunched up again, so we might see
even
us
more
go back to
chaos
racing
on the
now.
restart. That would be amazing.
It would be. Start you out with the 2 safety cars nice and quick.
So, P18 to P14 for Kryn has gained 4 positions, finding time to message us in the Twitch chat under safety car.
Safety car is in this lap. Fanta will set us off. Has full dictation over this pace.
I wonder if he's going to do what I've seen a few people do in other leagues, where he slows down to literally a crawl going into a corner, and on the exit he floors it. And fix these. Thank you very much for the follow. Much appreciated. Raikkonen's in the chat letting us know what's happened. Raikkonen here. Civic was spun at the final turn and it was coming in hot. There was a big collision that covered him up, so when the others cleared, he was there, and I spearheaded him, and we both died. Very unfortunate for both of you.
Ray and Corey got a great restart then off that, really on the back of Fanta. Drivers very close together. Fanta didn't get much of an advantage off that start. I'll give him my lovely tactic at the end of this and see if he likes it. But now it's looking close going into the second sector. Or the straight before the second sector.
Obviously won't be DRS just yet. And we've got a few gaps forming. P8, P9 have gaps, as well as P15, a little bit of a gap. D&B Super Skills falling off 2 places, 3 places now.
Maybe has some damage from that contact with Reese earlier that resulted in Reese's wing damage.
He does not appear to have damage on him currently. As we've got Reese looking to make a move up the right-hand side. And the Alpine being sneaky, taking the spot as well. Kryn moving up from P14 to 13, going into Maggots and Beckett's as we've got a bit of contact. Somebody's lost an end plate. Peak lagging left, right, and center. Stray Dog Racing picking up a 3-second time penalty, I believe, for track limits. But who are the biggest losers from Maggots and Beckett's? Somebody definitely lost a portion of their wing. It appears to be Reese's front left. Did he not get it replaced?
Maybe not.
It was his front right, I'm sure.
It was the front right. Sparky did also have some issues. I saw him turned around when I came to have a look at the second. There looks like it's another bit of debris coming off. I can't tell who that belongs to. At the back of the field.
Kryn has also lost an end plate. So, very eventful, as they were keeping it quite tight through Maggots and Beckett's.
Very tight. It was. We've seen now, as you said, proper gaps forming now between drivers.
3
especially
seconds.
in that midfield pack.
Yeah.
Between RJ and Brewster. Brewster needs to keep with the pack now after making that early pit stop. He just wants to nurse those tires, see how long he can hold them on for. But does need to stay within this pack and not let Fanta, Braincore, and all of these other guys just leave him.
Oh, we've got a caution. Appears to be one of the Haas's. Both Haas's together bringing in P16 and 17. Stray Dog Racing has lost his front left wing and has a time penalty. Currently sits P18.
2 McLarens, unfortunately. I don't know who their team owner is, but won't be too happy with this so far with the 10-second and 3-second going between the two of them.
No, we've got Jeremy losing out 2 places to the Red Bull and the Alpine, and a little bit of bumping going on as he loses 2 more places to the Williams and the Kick Sauber almost. Ooh, bit of
He's
contact.
not playing it safe. Bumping left, right, and center.
And Fanta gives us a new fastest lap with a 130.4. That was very risky from Jeremy.
We'll keep an eye on him now. Just seeing if he can... if he's going to make any more risky moves. It looks like he's really trying to push. He wasn't happy that he lost those couple of places. He really wants those back.
He did
they
lose
go down
3
through the straight?
places, I believe. It was the Red Bull, the Alpine, and the Williams that were initially behind him that snuck past. The Sauber, unable to make it, but did have an attempt. Oh, we've got the Sauber getting nice up and close, smelling his exhaust fumes. Now, I'm still learning all the corners. They're coming into Cops now, correct?
Cop. The top is Cop's corner. The one I always just think of it as the one where Lewis did and the Max did the thing. That's why I call it.
That's the corner after the old pit straight, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so I did have it right. I'm still quite new to this. I've only been following Formula 1 again for a few months, but
Okay.
I'm learning.
You seem to know more than I do. I know names. I don't know where they go though. So I'll try to help you out if I can.
As Rich slides on by Jeremy in the Mercedes. We'll be looking to catch the rear end of the Williams of Genchi.
It's a nice little pack we've got forming here.
Fanta's made a bit of a breakaway. Manages to slip away from DRS for Brian Core. He'll be happy about that. And he'll be quite upset if there's another safety car. A little bit of action happening at the rear of the field. As Reese diving into the pits, probably wanting to repair that wing damage that he took.
Yeah, it's been losing him more time than he probably should be. He's really struggling, especially through Maggots and Beckett's, just to keep it together. Of course, it is a couple of corners that really require proper aero, and if you're missing a front wing plate, it's difficult to take it at any kind of speed.
You lose so much time, and if I'm not mistaken, he was on... I believe he was on hards before, so he would have been having just a hell of a time.
Oh, big moment for Brian Core, but he seems to have kept it together. That's going to lose him out time to Fanta, though, as El Coclio is right on his rear.
Ooh, I think Coclio may have the advantage, obviously him being on the mediums. Those soft tires will probably be going off now as we come into the DRS zone. And we've got 2 drivers going to make it ahead of Brian Core, obviously the Alpine of Genchi. No, Alpine of Golden Wolf and the Red Bull of Coclio.
This is unfortunate for Brian Core. He was building a gap in second, him and Fanta, but obviously just that little moment out of the DRS has just sent him back into this big group here. His teammate is there, though. They might be able to help each other to continue developing forward.
Potentially. It's just... It's difficult to say for sure. But I do like that there's a bit of a pack forming. Obviously, Fanta going to be able to get away quite easily.
Well, that loss of position was very, very tough for Brian Core. Let him, or El Coclio as he is in this game, unless El Coclio is a reserve, which in case I'm not really making any sense. But that is the championship rivalry that we're seeing right now. Brian Core needs to make that position back.
Obviously, the other Red Bull sitting P13, so it's doing slightly better than Liam Lawson would be doing. But
By this
Rich
point, anyway.
getting ahead of the Williams now in Maggots and Beckett's. Right behind his teammate, Brian Core. We've got the 2 Saubers together. As we come into the DRS zone, could we see a pass potentially being made? We've got Red Bull attempting to defend. Rich and Core swapping positions.
Rich is on an absolutely incredible drive, up 13 places, and we've been basically watching him the entire time. He's constantly going for moves, but keeping it clean as well. It's been a beautiful drive so far.
You know, that is probably my favorite style of driver to see, is somebody who makes moves, but not somebody who's just terrorist dive bombing every corner, as he sets a new fastest lap with a 1:30.3.
Still keeping with that pack now. I think the pack's still up to seconds. 2-second gap up to Fanta. They kind of... I know it's difficult to say they should all work together, and we were saying it might be difficult for even teammates to work together. But for all of their benefit, they really should be trying to work together here to try and get up to Fanta.
I think they may have made up a couple tenths on Fanta. But if...
It may have. I think it was a bit lower beforehand. Up to just at 2 seconds now.
If Golden Wolf and Coclio can sort of manage to get a little bit of teamwork going between them to try and catch the race leader, they may have a chance, obviously, unless there's another safety car. Reese falling way behind, and Kryn 12 seconds behind the pack. Both of them are in no man's land, as well as Sparky, Stray Dog Racing, all in no man's land with nobody to keep them company at the back of the grid.
I think we're nearing now that pit window for these, definitely for these softs, but even almost for those mediums. This is around the time we're going to see Brewster, who did put early under that safety car from P1, to maybe come through on those hard tires. He's dropped a bit back to his teammate, and he has a lot of pressure on him from RJ. But this could be very beneficial to him if everyone has to come in and pit. As we do see, I think that is Jeremy is coming into pit, the first guy on softs to pit not under a safety car or not due to wing damage.
There can't be much life left on those soft tires now, 9 laps old.
Who is... We see now, and Fanta is on those softs. Maybe that's why we've seen another 5/10 be dropped within this last lap up to him. The people running in 2, 3, and 4 are all on mediums, and then we see Brian, Cora, and Genchi, who have struggled a little bit in comparison to the drivers ahead on those softs as well.
That is the thing. It's a gamble. Obviously, Fanta might be hoping for a safety car. Obviously, being in the front will give him the opportunity to pit first and maintain his lead. But he is losing quite a bit of time, as you said, 4 or 5/10 made up in a single lap, as those mediums become far more beneficial to be on than the softs.
This is the point now where it's really important for El Coclio and Golden Wolf to stick together. They're very, very close through Maggots and Beckett's, but they can't afford to give away a safety car here. That's going to help Fanta out too much. They just need to work together, stick behind each other. You can fight out later when it's for P1.
You know, you've got Rich just a little bit behind in the mix there as well. Might be trying to keep his distance, hoping the two in front battle a little bit, maybe make a mistake, and he can snatch that P3 spot. Possibly even the P2 spot. As we see that gap fall quite a bit more. 1.3 seconds now.
Now, I will say something interesting, which might have to do with what we've been talking about keeping it easy. El Coclio on 13% ERS, Rich on 10% ERS, but Golden Wolf on 85% ERS.
He'll be looking to make a move in the next ERS zone for sure, as we come up to it now, I believe.
He has put on the overtake.
Is it going to be enough? Not quite. Might wait for the next one, as he goes a little bit wide in the corner.
I don't know if you'd know this from experience through, as you only played this game for, well, you said a couple months. You'll know it a bit now, but Silverstone is a very difficult track to make proper overtakes on without fully sending it. If he wants to get this P2 desperately,
he's going to have to take a risk.
to work for it.
He might get a better run coming out of Maggots and Beckett's, potentially. He does seem to be carrying a bit more speed. Had to slow down to avoid the back of Red Bull. As he appears to get a better exit coming into the DRS zone. Might be able to make a move on the outside here, potentially. As the Red Bull takes the inside line, but he manages to get by with fairly easily. As that
now,
gap...
perfectly, they're in the DRS. That is the perfect time for Golden Wolf.
And Fanta has opted to pit now. Won't be happy about that. Obviously, he would have been hoping for a safety car.
We'll see now where he will come out. This is we see Brian Core and Genche as well pit. This is going to help out Brewster on his way back up to the top.
So Brewster moves up to P4. It might be a case of the Mercedes driver playing the big brain game.
We'll see how beneficial this becomes near the end, especially if we see that late second safety car. He could pit onto those softs, and he's really done very well then.
So Fanta's going to come out in P11. He's opted to go for the hard... Is that the hard tire?
It's...
medium, my mistake. I couldn't quite see.
Yes, it is in fact the medium. The car ahead of him will be on the hards. So these top three still very close. Coming through Maggots and Beckett's again.
But does it become now a case of tire management, or are these drivers going to be looking to pit?
I would predict now in the next 3 to 4 laps we will see a pit stop from at least one of these drivers. those mediums won't last much longer, and you don't want to be caught the same as you
There
were
it
with the
is.
soft.
Golden Wolf
the
dives
Golden
into the
Wolf
pits. It's
doesn't
Kaliko.
want to give
Kaliko's-
El Coclio as much DRS as avoid him out of the DRS as much as you can. Let Rich attack him now and see if he can hold on.
Where will Golden Wolf come out ahead of Fanta?
We shall see now as they're both coming towards that start line. I believe Fanta. That's DMB Snipes. Never mind, I'm looking at. Let's have a look now on the exit. Are they in any way close?
Opted for the hard tire as he makes his way down the pit lane.
This will be quite close here on exit.
Ooh, Fanta gets ahead.
Finally gets ahead, but let's check the gap here. It's only a 2-second gap behind.
I
But
think he
those hard
can
to
do it,
mediums
but
is going to be tough.
those hards will be ice cold. He needs to try and get some heat in them if he wants them to perform. Otherwise, he'll have to try and sort of wait it out and see if those mediums of Fanta will degrade to the point where he can make an overtake. As we join the race leaders, currently ahead by 6 seconds. Rich only 3/10 behind.
Bit of a poor Maggots and Beckett's from both drivers to there. Obviously, those tires are struggling, but they didn't seem to catch any of the apexes. It's going to get close here now before they go into the pits, maybe. Maybe Rich wants to keep it safe if he's going to pit now.
I suspect neither driver opting to pit, despite having clear difficulties with traction.
They could be copying. I believe Fanta and Golden Wolf have gone for very differing strategies. I don't see Fanta pitting again. He's going from that soft to medium, whereas Golden Wolf has gone from the medium to hard. We could be seeing a medium to soft from these two top runners.
I think they're just trying to get it within sort of 10 laps. They know they'll be able to get that sort of life out of the softs.
Could also be hoping for a safety car within the next couple of laps as well, which isn't a bold strategy by any stretch of the imagination. Begging someone behind crashes and they can get the advantage from it.
Brian Coe and Golden Wolf currently sitting P11 and 12. They've got a bit of a tight race going on. Obviously, they pitted at different times, but it appears Brian Coe, obviously on those mediums, going to have a better exit and the DRS as he slides on by the Alpine with ease. And the Williams of WOW going side by side with the Haas of Art F1 through Cops.
Yes, Art now got a 3-second penalty, I believe, within the last lap from a track limits violation, as Rich is now going to take the lead. Will he come into the pits? No, he's staying out.
And the Red Bull decides now's the time to
in.
dive in. It's all part of the Red Bull master plan. I think he just really doesn't want to risk that 10-second penalty that he might potentially get.
Yeah, scary moment from Woody, really making people think about what they have to do here. Reese gets a 3-second penalty. As we said, onto the softs. The Red Bull is onto the softs.
And he'll be looking to make the most of those, so we'll probably see quite a bit of pushing as we see the McLaren of Woody get ahead of the Williams. Has a second and a bit gap to try and catch D&B Super Skills in P4. Brian Coe setting a new fastest lap of 130.1.
Looks like our Red Bull's coming out right in this battle with the hard tire runner of Golden Wolf. They were battling earlier for that lead position.
We should see, obviously all three were in the mix early on in the race, but we should potentially see Coclio make short work of them once he gets a little bit of heat in those softs and is able to make the most of them. And he really does need to push while they've got life in, because they will go off pretty quickly.
Yes, we saw that softs died within, I'd say they were struggling after maybe 6 laps, so you just have to take advantage of them while they're there and then just take it home. Looks like we're going for a move in Cop's corner here.
Wheel to wheel manages to get ahead as the Alpine backs out just slightly to take up the rear of El Coclio. I'm just going to call him Coclio.
Coclio, that works. Too difficult here, lads.
We need easier names in the next one.
Yeah. Be more like RJ, you know?
Yeah.
Be more like our man RJ.
Or
Who is
Brewster.
catching up to Brewster?
And obviously, Cochleo going to easily get past Brain Core to take up that P9 spot. Now sets his sights on Fanta. Got his work cut out for him to try and make up 4 seconds. And Rich...
Brewster now, yeah, Rich is out in the lead by a bit. Probably will pit this lap, though. Brewster, though, is doing good. He's gaining a bit this lap. I've noticed 3/10 within the first couple of sectors this lap. Of course, he did pit early for those hards. We don't quite know the life of those tires.
I don't imagine he'll be making it to the end of the race on those hards, though. That is quite the ask. You know.
Yeah, it would be, what, 24, 23 laps?
Yeah, currently 14 laps old. Which is only 3 laps more than we've currently done. 3 laps less, my apologies.
Of course, after that early safety car through the crash of Raikkonen and Sivit.
Surely we'll see Rich pit this lap. He has to. 16 lap old mediums. There can't be much life left in those at all.
I think he just understands what we've said about those softs. He knows they're not going to last very long at all, and if it means he loses a couple of positions now, as he doesn't pit...
Maybe the mediums are feeling good enough for him. Brewster does appear to be catching him just slightly, a little bit per lap. And Fanta making a move on the Red Bull of Ak Flasher. And just to squeeze on by. Ak Flasher, where's he looking like? He is on 4 lap old mediums. Fanta's on 4 lap old mediums. Ak Flasher on 14 lap old hards. Probably won't be able to close out the race on that, as El Cochleo setting a new fastest lap, 129.8, 8/10ths quicker than the previous fastest lap, which was the Sauber of Brain Core or Rich. All I remember is it was a Sauber.
This is a very interesting moment for Brewster. As far as I can see, he went out in Singapore. He got 14 points in Austria with the fastest lap, which I think it's 14 and fastest lap, I believe. And then he didn't finish in Belgium, so not doing too well, but he seems like he's got some pace.
It's difficult for me to tell with the gap to Rich. It seems to come and go. I don't know if he's actually netting gaining time or if he's just about keeping pace.
Rich finally goes into the pits now this lap.
Which will make Brewster the race leader.
It will do. Will RJ follows him in. So yeah, Brewster and DMB Snipes both on those hard tires will be P1 and 2.
Those hard tires, there's no way that they can get another 7 laps out of them without something bad happening.
Something bad might be what this race needs.
As we've got Woody sitting in P3 with 2 drivers behind him, the Williams and V-Carb of Wowen Belge and Fanta. Ooh, the Williams has just gone off track after trying to make a move. Makes contact with the rear right of Woody. Loses out of position to the V-Carb of Fanta. Most likely going to try and make a move down this DRS straight here. Is able to get past before the corner. Makes short work of Woody there.
Yes, he is the net race leader if Brewster does have to pit in the end.
And we'll probably see Woody get swallowed up by that Red Bull very shortly, only tracking by 8/10ths and seems to be making up time on the old pit straight.
I'm mistaken, apologies. Fanta is our net race leader. I forgot he was up in P3 doing very well at the moment on those mediums. Really wants Woody to just defend like a lion, as Fernando Alonso would say. To just make sure he can get that gap from our championship leader, Cochleo. Or Littum, should I say.
It's all about strategy, as we see the McLaren using DRS just to keep pace. But Littum now is still on those softs, but there are a few laps hard. Those will be starting to go off a little bit soon. Now he's still got a few more laps of good racing left in those tires.
He does want to make that move soon, though. Of course, the mediums will be... Although at the start the mediums lasted a lot longer, those mediums have been on Fanta a lot longer than the softs have been on Cochleo. They'll probably be dying around the same time, so Cochleo really just wants to make that kind of move.
Woody goes wide and opens the door. Could we see a switchback? No, the Red Bull going to take the outside line.
Round
Manages
it.
to get
What
past.
a move! Oh, that was beautiful from our championship leader.
That was
How did he get
textbook.
Samantha?
As he's got his work cut out for him now, trailing by 7/10. But should be quicker through the corners, and we should see him able to close that gap soon. As it's down to 5/10 now, coming down the old pit straight.
Really wants to make this move. I actually want to just check real quick. What gap are we seeing to the leader here from these two drivers? The fighting might mean that Brewster can just nurse these tires home. Currently 11.5 seconds off.
I don't see Brewster able to do that. We can see him already struggling with the grip on these tires as is. But he's not going to be pitting now, as we see Cochleo getting ahead of the V car. We've got a yellow safety car.
Safety car. Brewster just by the pits. DMB Snipes can take it. Super skills. I don't know why I keep saying Snipes. As everyone's going into the pit, Brewster, with the originally seen as an amazing strategy, has been absolutely done over by the safety car that he was waiting for.
And you know, when I was on board with him, it looked like he was thinking about getting into the pits. It looked like there might have been a bit of hesitation, and if he had, it would have been pretty much the perfect strategy, as the safety car appears to have picked.
Look at this here. A car that was almost not seen as within any opportunity of winning this is now going to take the net race lead. DMB Super Skills.
But he does have Cochleo just behind him, or Litton, rather. Just behind him. I believe they're both on soft tires, so we've got quite a bit of racing, and Fanta will be joining them for P3. Obviously, a few drivers have opted to stay out and get in behind the safety car. So, Brewster...
Sorry, it'll be interesting now to see what Rich and RJ do. Their softs are only 2 laps old. Would it be worth just to keep that track position for them?
I definitely think they'll make it to the end of the race on these soft tires. I don't see them being at much of a disadvantage on the on the restart.
Yeah, and with that safety car, you're working under less difficult conditions for tire wear. So they could easily make it to the end and still have a fair bit of life left in them.
So Sparky currently in the mix in the safety car queue. So unable to lap himself and unlap himself by the looks of it.
No, I don't believe so.
Very unfortunate for the driver, currently sitting in P17. So obviously him, Woody, Rich, Jeremy, Genjay, RJ, DNB Super Skills, Litum, and then Fanta.
Oh, oh no. Oh my, I've seen this happen in a pro race. That is devastating for Brewster. I saw this happen in a pro race for Tom F1. He's gone past the safety car to go into the pits and has been accused of not obeying yellow flag orders, and he's been disqualified from this race.
Oh my goodness. The worst part is they would have probably brought him out right around P12 and 13. I think. Possibly.
That is absolutely devastating. I'm hearing a lot of bleeps in my ears. I have a feeling that he might be texting the group now. It's other drivers paying respects to him. You see Raikkonen saying he's sorry for what has happened. That is shocking.
I simply don't believe it. You know, it's not like this is a brand new game, the first of its kind, and they can't fix simple issues like splitting the pit lane away from.
And it happened in Britain as well. I think it seems to be a Britain issue with that pit lane being so far down that you don't quite make it into the pits before that timer has run down. It's unfortunate.
And he was doing incredibly well as well, and obviously because of the disqualification, that puts him all the way down in P20. I'm angry about that. I'm genuinely...
I really am. He would look like it was a really interesting story to have. He was from pole. He was slowly making his way up throughout the entire race. It was in first. Unfortunately, got done over by the safety car timing, and then got done over by the safety car entirely.
Please.
As he says in the chat, he was guaranteed to win. Now, I don't quite know if that's true.
No, I think he would have lost out a few positions. Obviously, a few drivers on those pretty fresh, soft tires. I think he would have probably dropped 4 or 5 places at minimum.
Maybe he was saying he was guaranteed to win if there was no safety car. He's asked now for the win to be reinstated, which is absolutely not happening. That is, I don't know if he's being serious or not, but that's not fucking happening.
I mean,
I don't want to antagonize him. I'm not going to text him the fucking chat. I'm not going to antagonize him. That's mean. Let's just keep watching this.
it would be nice to at least see some sort of consolation prize. Maybe hand him a few points as a consolation prize to say, look, this has happened. We're sorry it's happened. Obviously, you would have had more points, but here's something.
It would be nice, but unfortunately, even according to you, you said you believed he'd come out in P12, and with all the drivers on new softs, he might not have even made it up to 10th.
I think he would have come out P12 if he'd pitted without a safety car.
Without a safety car, okay. So I was going to say I think he would have been P7. But unfortunately, you know, these things kind of happen to everyone. If we'll say, for example, if it was Woody, or he wouldn't really count Woody, if it was Rich that would happen to.
Ooh.
Brewster wouldn't have been complaining.
Tulliam having a severe collision with Jeremy. Have we got damage, though? It does not appear that there's any damage on the Haas. There is damage on the Mercedes, missing his front left wing end plate. So obviously Woody going to be currently in P1, does have that 10-second penalty, which I believe if the racing, it'll be what, 3 laps of racing?
It could get very tacky, especially with Woody on first with a 10-second penalty on 20 lap old hards.
The only driver he'll be able to edge out would be Art F1, who has 13 seconds of penalties. Unless there's an incident behind him. Obviously, he is on those 20-lap-old hards. He's going to get chewed up in the first lap, I'm telling you now. He's going to drop a bunch of positions.
And that Williams will struggle as well. We're seeing some text in the chat here. Can I get a prize? Was rightfully... Is this Brewster?
No, that's Raikkonen.
Raikkonen.
That is Raikkonen. Was rightfully fucked.
I mean, if Brewster's expecting a prize, you can... I'll give you a P0, which is above P1. So...
No points, though.
That's not what I said. We'll see now how this restart goes.
So we'll go on board with Woody as he launches it down the main straight.
Good restart.
He's managed to open a slight gap to Rich. But can he hold on? Obviously, these 20-lap-old hards not going to have a whole lot of traction. I imagine in these 3 laps. Oh, we've got a Ferrari who's come off. Reese has spun. And the first driver to eat Woody is Rich, who will be looking to try and make a clean getaway now as he tries to open up the gap. Brian Corr picking up a 3-second penalty. Fancy getting ahead of D&B Super Skills. Genji and the McLaren having a little bit of a battle as the McLaren loses. As we see RJ go on the outside and the Red Bull trying to take the inside now.
Genji is on 11-lap-old mediums.
It looks like they might be about to go 3 wide into Cobb's corner. Not quite. RJ taking the outside line just behind as the two V-Cobs. Is it 2 V-Cobs? Look to go on the outside as they go 2 wide by 2 through Maggots and Beckett's. Oh, and we got Brian Corr on the inside of RJ now. Exciting racing as we got a little bit of argy-bargy going between the V-Cob and the Williams.
Red Bull now looking to get past that. Williams on the mediums. Dives down the inside here. Is he going to be able to make it? Not quite. This is giving Rich such a severe advantage, although his tires are 2 laps older.
So Genji looking to hold on. But is Koliko going to be able to get past? With a little bit of contact there with the McLaren having some connection issues by the looks of it. As they go 2 wide, bit of contact between Brian Corr and Woody.
Woody now still with that 10-second penalty.
And Brian Cole getting...
Really just fighting for his life.
Ooh, Brian Cole, nice move on the V-carb. Now going side by side with the McLaren down the DRS straight. Is going to be able to get past by the looks of it as the V-carb looks to try and follow Brian Cole. The V-carb looking to take that inside line on the McLaren, and he does get it.
There's
Ooh, bit of contact between...
Fanta now gets through on the Williams, pushing out towards P1. Rich has a 1.5 second gap though, with only 2 laps to go. All he has to do is hold on. Come on, son.
He has him in his sights. 1.2 second gap into Maggots and Beckett's. I think it'll be who's going to get the better exit. He's not going to have DRS by the looks of it, but if he can dump the battery, he might be able to get it on the next lap. Still 1.2 second gap with Koliko. Is going to get DRS on the V-carb. Now looking to take the outside line. Is able to get past before the apex. Still opts to take the outside line, leaving room for Fanta.
This is what Rich is going to love to see here.
Yes, my pretties, keep fighting. Let me open the gap. We'll never hear the end of Rich's win. Lol says Raikkonen. WHF Arrow is rating with a party of 6. Much appreciated, brother.
Final lap now. We're seeing a lot of very tight battles now at the back, but none of them really matter. We're down for this win. Can we gain some time now coming into that final DRS straight, where DRS could be the difference between a win for Litom, our championship leader, or Rich, a guy who's currently sitting in 12th?
My heart breaks a little bit for Woody, who did stay out on those 20-lap-old hards. Now sits P9 and is probably going to be overtaken by the Haas. And Haas gets by quite easily. Has the Red Bull managing to make a nice little slip on the inside, snatching P10 away from him. But that will give the Red Bull, I believe, pretty close to a P7 finish just based on the penalties we see.
Coming into this final straight now, it's within a second. He will have DRS. Needs to dump absolutely everything he has here. It's going to be tough either way, but he needs to go for it.
Yeah, Rich has dumped all his ERS, as has Koliko. And Fanta, I believe this will be your final grid, unless we see a massive dive from one of the drivers.
I'll be all here for it. Genshi with 3 stars. Poor Genshi as well. Did so well to get that P4 on the old mediums. But that doesn't matter for Rich. He's going to come home and claim P1. El Coclio with the fastest lap. Still not good enough on the last seconds to get first, but he will take second. Fanta in third. RJ fourth. DMB Snub's only a 10th behind RJ, but will finish in 5th. Golden Wolf in 6th. Genshi with that 3-second penalty does just drop down to that P7. Brian Core also had a 3-second penalty and is in 8th. Flasher in 9th, and I believe it said Woody in 10th, but I don't know how far he'll drop after that 10-second penalty.
He was definitely outside the points by the end, unfortunately. El Coclio, or Litom, getting driver of the day in game.
I think we have to give it to Rich. Coming from, I believe it was 17th to first. I was saying earlier he had an absolutely beautiful drive. Absolutely my driver of the day.
Yeah, unfortunately for Brewster, unable to make his strategy work for him, obviously getting disqualified, as well as Raikkonen and Civet having DNFs due to a racing incident.
Now, will we try to get anyone here for some interviews after this race?
Oh, for sure, we can try.
I don't know if there's a spot left for us on the actual Discord. I don't know if you have a commentator kind of extra link into channels, or that wouldn't even matter. We'll see.
I don't.
Let's have a look. Could we get Rich in? No, I don't think we can. Unfortunately, though, I'm sure he's off celebrating on his own. He'll be very happy. Did say into the group chat that he isn't washed, and no, he is not.
Kokliko also gained 12 places. RJ 11.
Great races.
Like a lot of gains, and that's what we were saying with the quali pace doesn't always match race pace. Sometimes it's also about the strategy and the big brain plays, but thank you very much to everybody who joined us this evening. I've been your host, Scones, and with me in the commentary booth this evening, we have had Lemon keeping me company. Very eventful race.
Thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you for joining us. It was a great event.
We will see you in 2 weeks' time after we take a week break. This has been Ground Effect Racing League. Thank you very much, and have a lovely evening.
Good night.